So the Game Awards 2024 just happened. And honestly, it's been what? Almost a week. It's been like 5 days since it premiered. It was Thursday. Today is, at the time of this recording, Monday the 16th. So it's been 4 days since the Game Awards 2024 aired. And I think it was my favorite one. And there are multiple reasons why, right? We're talking from the awards themselves to reveals to just the humor of the show. Speaking of humor, these guys were actually funny. I really enjoyed it. So I kind of want to break it down and kind of talk about the Game Awards and what I thought were wins for the Game Awards, because they give out awards, so they're the wins. Anyway, the wins, baby, the W's of the Game Awards. First, let's talk about the pacing. This is a big one. The Game Awards is a 3.5-hour ass show, if you consider if you can include the pre-show. It's a very long show. You're sitting here for a long time, longer than 2 of the Lord of the Rings movies, maybe even 3. I forget how long the theatrical edition of Return of the King is, but that's neither here nor there. Point is, it's a very long show. And traditionally, I've been really bored. There are moments where I'm there for like a good hour and kind of nothing's happening, right? Awards that I don't care about, trailers that I don't care about, just and then also a really funny thing that I've always noticed about the Game Awards is that there's like ads within the Game Awards, which already has ads, right? Because we tune in for the trailers, we don't see those as ads. That's kind of like part of the show, but the reality is that they are just ads. So there are ads, little tiny ads for games that we don't really care about, whether it's Game Pass or another service or something along those lines. And it's always funny to me, right? But there has always traditionally been that big chunk of time where I'm bored. I'm just bored out of my mind. Not this year. Kind of. So yes, there was a moment where a good 30 to 45 minutes was devoted to, I don't know, it felt like I was just seeing gacha after gacha after gacha game, right? We saw Genshin Impact. We saw the unfortunate reveal of the DNF Fighter looking like Genshin Impact game, their open world, whatever game they're making, which is very disappointing because it looked just like Genshin Impact. We saw pretty much most of the Hoyoverse stuff, so it was a big lull. And I can't, swear to God, I can't remember shit of what happened at that time. So I'm sorry if there was something else that happened, but overall, that chunk was a big detriment. However, the rest of the show was honestly really good. The way everything was, I don't want to say written out, but just the way everything was planned out, worked out. I was never truly, utterly bored like those previous years. So kudos to the team because they knew when to keep the important stuff and when to actually bring in bigger reveals in between the other big reveals, Pacing was honestly pretty phenomenal. One thing that was kind of weird though, so Jeff Keighley, he's a Nepo baby. If you don't know what a Nepo baby is, look it up. But he is the son of IMAX executives, right? He has connections to the industry. And that's why we have moments like this. Where's my finger? Right? Why is Harrison Ford at the Game Awards? What is he doing here? This was one of those moments where I was just like, oh wow, we got Harrison Ford. But okay. The year before that, Al Pacino. Okay, right? It's just this weird thing that he has to do where games are already, they've been trying to emulate cinematics and cinema in Hollywood for a long time already. And it's gotten to the point where I feel like the big awards and the big things go to the big cinematic games. And unfortunately, this weird connection of Hollywood of bringing in these big name actors and big presences to kind of give more credence to the art form, it's unnecessary. Games stand on their own for what they are. I don't think they need Hollywood to be who they are, right? I get it. Best performance, sure. But keep it like you did from... Is that Donkey? Holy shit. Donkey was in the audience. Hold on. Side note. Isn't that video game Donkey right here? I don't know if that is, but it looked like him. Anyway, sorry, got distracted. But what I'm trying to say is some of the other awards were given by previous winners. Should have done the same thing here. We got Troy Baker, sure, but Harrison Ford was the big name here, not Troy Baker. Whatever. Anyway, so that was one of the weird things. Also, the Muppets, while I've hated them in previous years, they were good this year. I like that they riffed on Jeff, and I like that they riffed on the whole show itself. Pretty good. I'll take it. Then there's the awards themselves, right? This is the Game Awards, right? Solid. Not gonna complain. However, if you've been, if you followed my channel at all, then you'll know that I was not a big fan, surprise, of Shadow of the Erdtree, Elden Ring's DLC expansion, to be nominated for Game of the Year. Granted, it did not win, and I am perfectly fine with that, because it shouldn't have been nominated in the first place. That nomination should have gone to something else, maybe even Silent Hill 2, right? But that aside, the awards were pretty solid. I didn't feel like any particular game got shafted, at least not to the extent as previous years. There were some games like Rebirth that didn't win as many awards as I would have liked, right? But it did take Soundtrack of the Year, which is the one that I really wanted it to win. And then Metaphor Fantasio did take like 3 awards as well. Those were my 2 like biggest contenders for Game of the Year, and I'm glad they won. But overall, the awards were presented well. Granted, I still hate that some of them get shafted, and you get this little like side screen thing where Jeff is like, and the award goes to this guy. Congratulations. At least he was able to bring up somebody after every single award that I can remember anyway, and give them like their time in the spotlight. So I'll give him that. That was a good thing for sure. So yeah, overall awards, solid, a solid like B, like a TGR Silver, if anything. And then the last thing, right? The trailers. What we're here for, right? At the very beginning of the pre-show, Ninja Gaiden, a new 2D game by the creators of Blasphemous, that is the very first thing we see. And I'm thinking, what? Ninja Gaiden? It's been years. How are you here? Guys, this was the Game Awards for me. I don't know how it happened, but this shit was Onyx coded to an extreme level. I couldn't believe it. This felt like E3 2015. You guys remember E3 2015? The E3 of Dreams, they called it, where we had The Last Guardian. We finally saw Final Fantasy VII Remake. There was a third game. Oh, Shenmue frigging 3, right? That shit, what? This Game Awards genuinely felt like it. Not only did we get Ninja Gaiden, like I mentioned, Witcher 4, finally seeing a trailer for it, Oni frigging Musha comes back, right? And by the time it releases, it'll be 20 years since the last mainline Oni Musha. An Okami sequel with Hideki Kamiya directing again with his new studio, Clover's Studio, which, if you don't know, the studio that Kamiya did work with Capcom back in the day was called Clover Studio. That's who was like in main development of all of their games, right? Which is like Beautiful Joe, Okami, and I'm missing another one right on the top of my head. But point is, this shit, the Okami sequel is a straight up miracle. This should not be happening, but it is. So I gotta give credit where it's due. This was the 10th anniversary of the Game Awards, and Jeff Keighley put in them connections, baby. We got things that we didn't expect, ever. I mean, I expected Monster Hunter Wilds to show up. It did not, and this shit still blew my mind. So, yeah, in terms of like the trailers and all that stuff, dude, fucking kudos, man. So, overall, one of the best shows I've ever seen. This ranks up there with some of the best historical E3s, you know? I haven't really thought of where I'd put it, but yeah, I think this was fantastic. I hope that next year will be at least half as good. I don't think it's going to be this good. There is no way even the next 2 or 3 years are gonna top the return of Onimusha for me, the return of Okami for me, and a new Ninja Gaiden. You know, that shit is bonkers, bonkers, bonkers. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Connections apparently is strong enough to get Silksong. Motherfucker, Silksong is not a real game. I have given up on that shit.